Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is the big question, the show that gives you too much information about how to get a home loan in a post-Blip society and how Batman and myself can kick your ass in 127 different ways. I'm Jessica Clemons. I'm hosting this big question with the man of mystery. Not Mountain Time. No, not Montana. MT.
MT. Just the MT. What's going on? I'm so excited to meet you. I've heard nothing but amazing things, so this is going to be great.
Yes, shocking for everyone. This is me and MT's first time. Also, meeting each other, and then they were like, we're just going to have you guys do an episode and get into it. We both talk a lot. Let's do this. Let's do it.
I'm
ready?
So excited to just talk nerd. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. I've been doing this my entire life. Let's get started. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place 6 months after the events of Endgame. And while new threats face our heroes at seemingly every freaking turn, it looks like one of the biggest problems facing society still dealing with the implications of the blip and half the population coming back. A former Avenger can't even get a freaking bank loan from the Small Business Association. He's an Avenger. He's got a business plan. He has everything figured out. He ran the numbers. So our big question, why is the world still such a mess 6 months after the events of Endgame and the blip that brought half of the universe back? I don't know. Maybe it is me being like a horrible person, but shouldn't we be better? Shouldn't we be better by this?
I mean, it sounds like everything should be cool, but it really isn't. Because if you just think about it, just logically and just how crazy the actual blip is, it's actually pretty, it's intense. It's very half of everyone just came back. So it's gonna be not as happy as everyone assumes it would be. But no, why is the world such a mess 6 months after the events of Endgame and the blip that brought half of the universe back? So Philip and Eric did do a big question video about this about a year ago where they discussed whether or not reversing the snap via the blip was a mistake. And they do make some valid points in that video, but we're not here today to make that reprehensible case. We've since learned some new information about the blip itself from both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we wanted to go back to the topic of the blip and dive into just how things could just be so topsy-turvy, even though everyone's back and everything should be cool, right?
I think it should be.
So the snap performed by Thanos in the Battle of Wakanda wiped out half of all living beings in the universe and set off 5 years of insanity for everyone who survived. And we saw a lot of this in the first part of Endgame, empty streets, desolate cities, overgrown yards, just overall just depression. It's just everything's just sad. But on the bright side, with half of humanity gone, at least it was probably a lot easier to buy a PS5. So at least some people are happy.
Are you even buying it at that point? Why don't you just steal it? What?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, you're in a post-apocalyptic society. Why not? Just loot. It's totally fine. So the people left behind by the snap were forced to cope with this new reality, and very few people expected any of the people who vanished to ever come back, because why would you?
They dusted.
So society would eventually just adjust to this new reality where the people who were snapped for good. Now, think about that moment when everyone suddenly comes back. I mean, we as the audience got to see the Avengers work hard, traveling through time, doing their time travel shenanigans, putting the pieces back together. But for regular folks, regular people inside of the MCU, your regular Joe Schmoes, their reality was a lot more different, because 1 second, everyone's just chilling, but then the next second, it's dead people palooza. It's half of everyone that has ever existed is just back. So this is what we saw with Monica Rambeau, and when she blipped back in WandaVision. It was very jarring. It was very, that was one of the craziest scenes in all of the MCU. I was very emotionally affected with that scene. And in Spider-Man Far From Home, they played that blip for laughs.
I think that was more drastic because it was the marching band. That one seems way more chaotic. Also, calling it a dead people palooza. Why would you ever call it that?
I mean, that's essentially what it was. I mean,
it's not a festival. You make it sound like it's a concert.
I mean, it's a pretty great day. I mean, if half of humanity's coming back, I'm like, it's a palooza of dead people. Let's rejoice. That's the dead people palooza dance.
Oh my God, I can't wait for dead people palooza. Everybody get your short shorts and your water bottles. It's 104 degrees in Indio, California. It's dead people palooza, baby. You thought Universal Horror Nights was a show. Wait for Dead People Palooza.
I don't know what I'm saying.
It's okay.
I'm very disturbed. Anyway, continuing. You have to imagine, for the rest of the world, it was a very frantic and chaotic experience, with a lot of people who survived the snap possibly reliving a lot of the trauma of that day when everyone disappeared, which would make a lot of sense. It's a very not great time. Now, cut to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now it's been 6 months, and you can see the hints of the cultural divide that exists between those who were snapped and those who stayed behind existing. Now, this seems to bubble up between Sam and his sister when they discuss finances in the first episode. She resents that Sam is going to tell her what to do now that he hasn't been around for 5 years of all the depression and insanity. But of course, those who were snapped would have the same type of resentment because they didn't choose to die. Like, no one chooses to be murdered by Thanos. Like, that wasn't their choice. So,
unless you're me, I want to be wrecked by Thanos. Unless you're this girl.
I think you mean Daddy Thanthan. I mean, come on.
So gross, but I love it. I'm here for it.
It's literally the name he was born with, I hear. It was on his birth certificate. I saw it.
Oh yeah, because you delivered Thanos. You alone delivered Thanos.
Oh yeah, I was there. I was on Titan. It was a pretty crazy day. His mom tried to stab him. It's pretty nuts. Anyway, let us take a look at different areas of society where things still aren't better than they were before the snap, now that half of the population has been blipped back, because things are still kind of a mess. So, let's talk about jobs. Everyone's talking about jobs these days. Jobs is a big thing, but jobs probably got really complicated post-Blip in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because lots of jobs probably shifted during the snap. They probably needed to fill key roles to keep utilities like power, water, and sewage still working. And we saw in Endgame when Scott Lang was walking around San Francisco that the power was still on, but had a lot of houses with overgrown yards and still some like really dirty streets, and just like it kind of seems like the snap happened and then like chaos happened and then people just kind of left some of the chaos in the streets, which is like, because you see like I believe a moped just in the streets, just like chilling there like it crashed. And yeah, there were definitely some dirty streets, but there was still some reliable infrastructure, which is good to hear because infrastructure is nice for society, I hear.
Oh, word on the street is infrastructure. We really need that.
Yeah, it's... I mean, like, all the kids seem to be talking about infrastructure and how cool it is.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I'm just like, hey, this is pretty good. We should probably keep doing this infrastructure thing.
We definitely should.
So think about this. Imagine you get snapped and then you come back looking for your job. Do you get to keep your job? Should you keep your job?
My job as a comedian?
And just like in general.
I'm sure if I come back, someone's going to take my type 5. Someone can take my stand-up gig. I'm okay with that.
Imagine you come back and someone steals all of your material. That's awful.
See, no, that would piss me off. And that's something that would happen. So if I left my journal back and someone broke into my house for some reason, took my great bits, and then I came back and saw them doing it live, I would fight them.
Yeah, we call the Avengers.
Spider-Man, this guy's stealing my bits. He's stealing my scripts. I had a great story about losing my wallet one day and he took it. Yeah, that's what the Avengers are for. They literally are here for me.
Avengers!
Falcon said that they're here for goodwill. So, like, hey, there's no better will than avenging someone who stole your comedic notes, really.
MT's a lawyer now, everybody.
Okay. Okay, so Jessica, let me ask you a question. So, if someone took your job and they were actually better at it, how would you feel? How would that make you feel?
Obviously, I'd be upset, but if I blipped back, I'd probably kill them. No, I wouldn't kill them. That's illegal. But I would do something. I would do something about it. Maybe like trip them so they break their ankle.
I mean, like, there's plenty of things you can do to people without killing them, Jessica. We could we could hide feces somewhere in their home. You know, just they won't know that it's there. They'll just be like, "What is that smell?"
They're like, "It smells like someone pooped under my bed, but I can't find it."
Exactly. It's that long-term mental torture.
I leave just like a dog poop in a bag and put it on fire every day on their doorstep and ring the bell and run away. I just do like, I egg their car. I'm like, give me my job back. And I run away. It depends on what job it is. If it's new Rockstars, I will have to fight them.
Mother.
Listen, Jessica, I want you to know, if you ever become blipped back from a cosmic act of terrorism, I want you to know that you can call me and I will fight whoever replaces you with you. We will tag team violence this man. But anyway,
we're done.
Let's talk about finances, because let's say you're dead for 5 years and you're just not around in general because you do not exist. Is your credit score frozen? Like, what happens with that? Like, I don't understand.
You know your credit score would go down.
Yeah, it would probably plummet. I mean, you can't plummet from 0, so.
Whoa. This is worthless.
Don't say that. Your credit score is probably so much nicer than so many people's.
I eat food off the street, Jessica. I just had a delicious banana peel earlier. My credit is just abysmal.
Jessica, how dare you assume I live the life of a raccoon? That's what you just told me.
I'm actually inside of a YMCA right now, so they're gonna kick me out in a couple of minutes.
They're gonna kick me out? Why are they kicking you out? I'm at a YMCA.
Oh,
they're going to kick me out in a few minutes. Jesus Christ.
Whew, okay. Like, did the money that you had in a savings account accrue interest for 5 years? And, like, if you had a mortgage when you were snapped, are you penalized for not making a payment for 5 years? Like, there's a lot of things that could go terribly wrong for people that come back from the snap.
The last thing I would think about when I come back is my finances.
I'm probably taking a nice, long nature walk and just appreciating being alive and not, dust particles.
I'm not trying to think about my college loans after I come back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thinking about those now. Those are just like, just college loans aren't real. That's all fiction. That's a mythical creature. They're as real as
I'm just saying,
unicorns.
I'm not paying them. Edit that out. I'm so nervous that the IRS will say this. I don't need that on me right now. I don't need that on my conscience.
You said you were going to commit tax evasion.
I didn't say that. I just said I can't pay it. Also, my film degree has done nothing. My degree in Foley and business communications.
I'm Kelly Kapoor, the business bitch.
If you had a mortgage when you were snapped, are you penalized for not making a payment for 5 years? And, like, if you go back to the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Falcon and his sister are struggling to get a loan when their parents have been, like, loyal customers to this bank for forever, but because Sam hasn't had an income for 5 years, all of a sudden it's so difficult to get a loan. Ain't that how it be, Jessica? Ain't that how it be when a couple of... sorry, we're not going to make it about race. We ain't going to say that. Sorry.
Hey. Low-key in that episode, I was like...
Exactly. I'm just like,
I was like,
ain't nothing new over here. Ain't nothing new over here.
It's more than the money. This is what happens when you have two black people hosting Big Question, you guys. We don't talk about it.
We tell you the truth. We tell you about what's good.
Not today.
If we're not talking about how we can't get freaking bank loans, we're talking about Blue Marble. We're talking about Blue Marble or bank loans.
Listen, Blue Marble is more important than bank loans, honestly. I feel like every bank teller should be talking about Blue Marble when they're trying to give loans, because he's the backbone of our society, Jessica. I just want you to know.
He is. I need one of those two things, either a bank loan or Blue Marble, and it looks like I'm going to get probably the bank loan, but I want Blue Marble to show up.
Don't worry. He's got to come. He's too, like, the Ultimates is one of my favorite, like, comic Marvel teams. So, like, he's got it.
Also, okay, sorry, side note, I just read the comic book where Falcon turns into a werewolf. When do people just start turning into animals? I was so confused. Okay.
I mean, it was a shout out to Werewolf Cap from the past. But, like, it was wild and I loved it. And I was like, dude, I feel like they should just keep it. Like, why not? Just have him turn into a wolf at some times when he's angry.
I don't need that.
Don't say it. Don't you say it. He left.
It just made it too confusing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this issue down and I'm just going to skip it. I was like, this is too crazy for me.
You know it's the filler issue when they're doing something crazy like that. It's like, all right, we're just going to do this for like 3 issues and then we're going to...
100%.
And we have to consider the people who returned who want to reclaim their property.
Who are you people?
There's probably a ton of homeowners that came back like, oh, why why is there an old lady inside of my home when I lived there with myself and my video games?
I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these.
But a lot of state governments actually do have a process for reclaiming property for a person who is listed as vanished or like disappeared but returns afterwards. For example, in California, you have 5 years to reclaim property, but in other states, it takes less time.
Okay, I live in an apartment, so...
You should be fine. I mean, you probably have to go apartment hunting, but, you know,
Oh,
at least you
that's
wouldn't have to deal with the
Someone
whole
could-
house situation. It's a lot easier getting a new apartment than, you know, finding someone for your home.
Now I'm only going to stay in apartments because I'm now afraid of a blip happening.
Why not? I mean, if there's even a 1% chance of a blip happening, don't invest. Don't commit. Don't commit to being a homeowner.
Don't invest. You heard it here,
it'd
you
just be a
guys.
waste of time,
Don't
honestly.
invest. Don't invest.
If we believe there's even a 1% chance, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
You heard it from MT.
Take your money out of the housing market.
chance.
Let it crash.
Yeah. Let it crash. Okay, you guys, now to the real business. We can make it crash again.
And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Folks, boom!
And like, what if your family sold your house when you were snapped, or your personal belongings?
You sold my dead bird to a blind kid?
Do you have the rights to get your stuff back?
Finders keepers.
Wow. So like, if someone bought all of your stuff and like, or like someone had all of your stuff, you wouldn't like try to get it back?
Because I'd probably steal from someone else.
You steal from me, fine. I mean, other people have plenty of other stuff, so I'll steal from them.
Well, you live in the YMCA. Why would I steal from you?
Exactly. This is community stuff. Like, you can't steal from the community. But of course, we have to talk about governments and world governments and alliances and treaties and all that, because it sounds like during the 5 years during this, like, the post-snap world, the world sort of became more unified in a way. Because Torres says in episode 1 that the Flag Smashers think the world was better during the blip, and that they want to live in a world unified without borders. Which, you know, sounds nice. It sounds like a nice thing, but, you know, they're just not going about it in the best of ways, which is unfortunate. 100%. And like, you know, we have seen this happen in the real world in times of extreme peril. I mean, whether or not it's like a terrorist attack or a natural disaster, countries tend to, like, at least temporarily, put aside their differences in order to deal with like an immediate threat that they need to address. Even right now during the COVID-19 pandemic, like, countries have worked together in such really unique ways that we haven't really seen before, which is really cool. It would be nice if we just did that in general. It'd be cool.
It takes a horrible thing to happen for us to actually come together.
Some countries may have been in much worse conditions than others, which required the world to work together more, which would make sense because there's a lot of, like, inequalities in the world. Fun fact, there probably needs some teamwork after such a really just drastic events such as the snap.
Teamwork make a dream work.
But now that half of humanity is suddenly back again, it sounds like countries are going back to their isolationist mentalities. Like with when Rhodey was talking to Sam in the first episode, and he remarked that the allies are now enemies and alliances are torn apart, and everything's just chaos after the snap. So things are just not looking super stable, but like they're just new. Things are like lines are being sort of redrawn in a way. So that's interesting to see. I'm very interested to see what a post-snap world is going to look like in the MCU, because there's a lot of stuff like this that we need to consider.
Because we didn't really get to see it with WandaVision, but I'm really looking forward to that part in Falcon and Winter Soldier of being like, this is the, it's like this is a horrible example. It's like getting the Purge from the perspective of the hard, like the lower class people. Whereas WandaVision was like, these people live in a suburb, they're not really paying attention to anything else. So I'm really excited to see that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, being like, this is how I would have been.
No, I agree. I'm 110%. That's a yes. I 100% agree. But in terms of like the military and the world militaries, fighting forces were decimated around the globe after the snap. And with that, nations probably needed to like put their wars on pause. It's like, hey, we lost half of our army. Could we not fight for just a minute while we just let's just work together. All right.
They said no.
We can assume that the US military was debriefed on Thanos, but was that info shared with other countries? I mean, it's possible that some were just waiting around for more people to suddenly disappear. And like, now that you have your full military back, like, do you go back to being more defensive and less accommodating to foreign countries? Or like, do you just keep that relationship going? Like, it's really a lot of really interesting things to consider. And if you had soldiers overseas in combat situations that were snapped away, it's possible they blipped back in an area that they should not be. Like imagine a spy just just like blips back into like the middle of like I don't know, a dinner party for the people he was spying with. It's like, oh, hello.
Oh my god. I would give up everything. I'd be like, I have to go see my family. I'm not actually like supposed to be here. I'm a spy.
I'm the spy.
Yeah, I would just be completely up. Like, listen, like I was doing like some weird sketchy shit 5 years ago, but like I am just glad to be alive. I didn't feel anything for a long time, and I want to smell some flowers,
Truly.
so I'm leaving.
I will lay out the names and codes if I can go smell a flower right now.
Just for the sweet smell of a rose, I would give up the codes for a sweet smell of a rose.
They say a rose is a rose is a rose, but that's not quite true.
That's why I'm not a spy. You don't have to torture me. It doesn't take much for me to snitch out a bunch of things. I feel like all you have to do is like do something mildly annoying. I'll be like, okay, I'll say it. Jesus. I was like, just stop being weird.
Everybody get away from the mirror. And they've checked all this paint for lead, right?
Do you feel any air coming out of that vent? I got nothing.
Okay, I'll say it. Jesus.
Now, let's talk about politics, because everyone loves talking about politics. We don't know exactly what people in powerful government positions were snapped away, but we have to assume that some were. And there may have been some secession issues that moved people around into new or higher positions of government. Like, if some people who returned were elected officials, do they get their old positions back?
Hayward technically took over for Monica, technically, right? Because he was acting director. So I guess people don't get their positions back.
You move your meat, you lose your seat, as they say.
You move your meat, you lose your seat.
Exactly.
That's not a thing. You move your meat, you lose your seat.
That's actually, yeah, it's in the Bill of Rights. Have you read the Bill of Rights?
I guess I haven't read the Bill of Rights. I hate it.
And we can assume that the US government had to enact some massive legislation that dealt with the snap, including classifying those who disappeared as vanished or missing and not deceased. And considering how slow the government can be to enact legislation, it makes sense that they haven't figured out everything post-Blip. It's possible that they're still working to undo some of the legislation that was passed during the snap, but it's all, it's gonna be a legislative kerfuffle, if you will. Now, let's talk about society as a whole, because those who were here for the 5 years after the snap lived through a lot. And it makes sense that they would resent the people who have returned, because those people who were blipped didn't get to live through those 5 years. Like, they didn't know the trauma of losing loved ones and seeing the world collapse and restructure. So you kind of just have to view it from that perspective, because there's probably just a lot of just resentment there, even though there really sort of shouldn't be, but I understand from where they're coming from. But those who were blipped might resent the people who weren't, because they lost those 5 years after all. Like, they died. So their families and friends aged 5 years and probably moved on with lives without them, and spouses may have remarried, and like, it's just really complicated and really messy. And I really sort of want the MCU to tackle this specific issue of like, relationships sort of like being like really weird and awkward now. Cause like now my sort of ex is back, and like we were gonna get married, and like I love her, and like
I have
this new person now and I love them. Like, what are we gonna do?
My little brother is now older than me. He can drink legally and I can't. I need someone to figure this out. Wait a minute. I'm still gonna do I call him my little brother still, or what's going on now? There's a lot of questions about logistics I have about this.
I think he's your little big brother now.
No, he's still my little brother to me.
Honestly, I'd be the same way. If my little brother became older than me, I wouldn't take any of his shit.
I'd still beat him up. That's the thing. I don't care that you're bigger than me now.
He is a piece of shit.
I'm still gonna kick your ass.
And there's a lot of culture that did or did not happen in those 5 years. And it sounds like most of like the major league sports stopped, or at least like the Mets did. And maybe that's a good thing. I mean, who knows? But there may have still been movies, TV, and other forms of entertainment and art that were created during the snap. And people who blipped back would feel the need to catch up on some or all of this. Like, imagine all of like, I don't know, how many seasons of Grey's Anatomy would come out during those 5 years? Probably 17 seasons.
Roughly a lot.
If I was a spy that materialized in the middle of a dinner party of a place that I was spying on 5 years ago, I'd be like, fetch me your finest Chromecast. I must binge all of Grey's Anatomy. This new Peacock app that they keep talking about. I don't know what this is.
I need the cock of the pea, or else I can't watch Anatomy of Greys by Shonda Rhimes.
Bring me your finest peacock here.
Yeah. I would be like, MT, don't talk to me like that. I'm just gonna get you can use my smart TV. Stop acting like you're a genius.
That's just who I am as a person.
Probably is. I would not be surprised.
I will occasionally just go into like a fancy voice like, I need to use the bathroom. 1 toilet paper, please.
1 toilet paper, please.
Anyway, in regards to Captain America, it seems that people are aware that Captain America participated in something that reversed the snap and then went missing, but they don't really know the whole deal, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm. And we know that the public is aware of Thanos, or at least the people in Steve Rogers' support group do anyway. But does the public know about the Infinity Stones, or that Thanos came to Earth through a quantum tunnel, or like any of those details? Like, we don't know specifically how much the Avengers told the public about all the craziness that went down, because like, would the public even understand? Because like, we're getting into quantum time physics and all of that, and like, we as the audience to this day are probably are still confused. Like, okay, we're doing split timelines now, or like if you go back in time, it doesn't affect the past. It's very confusing.
I just want to know where my stimulus check is at. That is it. do I still get it in the blip? Do I still get it through the blip? Excuse me, I have not received mine yet, and I'm going to make it everybody's problem now. It is everybody's problem.
Your first words after you get blip backed, give me the stimmy.
Where's my stimulus? Where's my stimmy? And then I'm like, I'm really strong for some reason. I don't know. Where's my stimmy? Smash me hard.
I got my stimmy strength on. Give me that stimmy.
It's like, I'm just gonna go crazy until I get my damn stimulus.
Honestly, I was like that. Like literally the day before I got my stimulus, I was like, I'm about to act up. I'm about to act up right now if I don't get that stimulus check. Give me that stimmy strength.
I'm the only person that hasn't gotten one yet, I guess.
So, everybody has come back, and now the world seems even more perilous than it was during the 5 years of the blip. It's easy to see how this total upheaval of the world status quo is going to have long-lasting effects on society, but what does this mean for the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier going forward? Like, will the majority of the public begin to align with the ideals of the Flag Smashers? Will they become radicalized like the Flag Smashers? Will U.S. Agent John Walker be embraced by adoring fans or be shunned away as a weak reboot? That he is, because he is a weak reboot. He's like when Joe took over Blue's Clues from Steve. That's literally how I feel. Exactly. I just felt betrayed.
Nothing's wrong with Joe. Nothing's wrong with Joe.
Listen, I love Joe, but I'm just saying initially.
Okay. No, it's more, see, now you're coming for Joe. It's more like Kimberly Brown in Halloween Town when she was replaced in Halloween Town when they went to college with that other girl that clearly isn't her, but had the same butt chin.
In Halloween Town 3.
They tried to slide with that. Yep, they tried to slide with that, and I noticed.
They were like, them kids ain't gonna notice, but we did. We knew. Yeah, we did notice. That's actually a better example. Let's go with that one.
I said, boop, I turned it off, and I said, I'll go back to Calabar's Revenge.
I sent an electronic email. I asked my mother if I could hop onto the computer, and I was like, I need to tell Disney Channel about what I feel. I sent a long message to them. They never got back to me. They actually banned me from all Disney parks. Anyway, will U.S. Agent John Walker be embraced by adoring fans or be shunned away as a weak reboot?
Unshun. Yeah, that sounds good. Reshun.
Will Sam ever get that boat in decent enough shape to run some charters on the weekend? We will have to wait and see. I personally would like to see Sailor Sam, but hey, that's just my wants for the show. I only want to see him sail the boat. I don't want to really see him do anything else. I just want nautical adventures with Sam and Bucky, really.
Oh, I just want to see Sam say, look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now.
I'm the captain now.
Honestly, if he doesn't do that when he actually becomes Captain America, shut the whole production down. I'm canceling my Disney Plus subscription. It's just like, you had one job, Kevin. You had one job, just to say, look at me, I'm the captain now. Because he's the first black Captain America. He has to say it. Sorry, I'm just
He has to say it. He's a captain and he owns that ship now. So he's, look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. Okay, so Kevin Feige, we're just saying 2 black nerds said that this is okay to do.
So you have to do it now. You have the permission.
You have the permission from Jessica Clemons and MT. The only 2 people you need.
He just whips out his like wallet. He's like, "Oh no, I have a black pass."
Yeah, he goes, "I am captain now. I only do it for this one line. I don't give it out often. It's very I keep that shit close to me. I do not hand that card out just to anybody." Okay, so now we're going to dive into our bite-sized questions next, but first, of course, we got to get a word from some of the folks that help us make Big Question and bring it to you every dang week, starting with
Mint Mobile. Now, if you've ever dealt with big wireless providers, you know that there's always a catch, right? So when you first hear that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month, you're probably waiting for the catch. But let me let you in on a secret here. There isn't a catch. There is none. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only, and they pass on those savings to you. And here at New Rockstars, Philip switched to Mint Mobile, and he loves it. Like, he saves more than $20 a month from his old plan, and he gets to use a 5G network for just $15 a month. It's literally insane. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month, and all plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number. It's literally so convenient, and I love that you can't keep your same phone number because I've had my same phone number for forever, and I have no plans on giving it up. I'm literally going to take my phone number to my grave. You can call me in the casket. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has a 7-day money-back guarantee. So don't worry, you can rest easy. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/bigq. That's mintmobile.com/bigq. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/bigq. Do it today. You will save so much money and you will have amazing cell phone service.
And if you have a job, you're an athlete in the sport of business, and athletes need good equipment, you want a versatile look with timeless style. For that, there's Cuts clothing. Cuts takes a plain tee and sprinkles it with that Tony Stark spice. They use the latest fabric technology to make their shirts, and it shows. Philip has several Cuts shirts and loves them. They look great and have a really nice athletic fit. He says there's no other shirt that fits as well as Cuts. And I know what you're thinking. Philip looks great with his shirt off, but you know what's even better? When he wears a shirt. And those shirts are from Cuts clothing. In 2016, Cuts founder Steve Borelli set out to create clothes ready for every occasion the modern man faces. He reinvented the t-shirt and made the GQ magazine calls the only shirt worth wearing. You hear that, Philip? The only shirt worth wearing. Put on a shirt. We don't need to see your washboard abs all the time. Cuts is premium with a purpose. Each piece of clothing is designed with custom engineered fabric, expertly graded for the perfect fit, arming you for every challenge and opportunity. It's not just a lifestyle. It's not just clothing. It's office leisure apparel for the sports of business. Get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/bigquestion. I think it's going to be right here. If the editors are making me look like a fool pointing to my crotch, I'm going to be upset. That's cutsclothing.com/bigquestion for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing, folks. Ask Philip. Let's get to our bite-sized question. Do you want to give it to me? You want to serve it up? Serve it up cold?
Bite-sized question number 1. Let's get it. How many different fighting styles has Batman mastered?
There's a factoid floating around that Batman has mastered 127 different martial arts, which is just literally insane. Even if he was devoted to practicing martial arts every day from the ages 14 to 30, he still wouldn't have enough time to master 127 different martial arts. Some of the faster programs still take at least a year to master. But Bruce Wayne, like we know, is no ordinary man. He does have a genius level intelligence, so that makes him more adept at learning these fighting skills. In the comics, Batman trained with Master Kirigi to learn Taekwondo, Master Tu Chen Li to learn Kung Fu, and Shihan Matsuda to learn multiple disciplines disciplines, which probably included karate, aikido, and judo. He's also had other fighting teachers over the years like Ted Grant, the master assassin David Kane, Alaskan hunter Willie Doggett, Giovanni John Zatara, Henry Ducard, and of course, Ra's al Ghul. So yes, Batman is a very accomplished fighter and knows all sorts of fighting skills from boxing to ninjutsu to Krav Maga to capoeira. It has been stated in the comics that Batman has mastered any fighting skill he's learned, and the results of these skills seem to match the sentiment. He's held his ground with some of DC's best fighters, including Ra's al Ghul, Bronze Tiger, and Lady Shiva. So which martial arts has Batman mastered? Oh, pretty much all of them. Well, probably not Quack Fu, though, which means Howard the Duck is coming to whoop that ass, Batman. Coming to whoop that ass, Bruce.
Oh!
I love Howard the Duck, so don't mess with Howard the Duck, y'all. He'll beat your ass. Him and me. Give me the second. Give me the second question.
All right, so question number 2. Could Yondu Udanta's Yaka arrow pierce and possibly kill Thanos if it were going fast enough?
Perfect question. Great question. Everybody has this question. I've had this question. As the question points out, Yondu's arrow is made of Yaka, which is a rare sound-sensitive metal found from the Centurion homeworld. Yes, Yondu is Centurion. The arrow is controlled both by the fin and the user's wears on his head and through whistling, hence why it is sound-sensitive metal. And I know what you guys are thinking. The arrow is actually with his heart. That's how he moves it. He also uses it with the breath between his lips. It's sound-sensitive metal, y'all. We know the arrow is strong enough to pierce Drax's super dense, tough skin, even when wielded by an amateur like Kraglin. It is safe to assume that Yondu's arrow could pierce Thanos' skin. That is, if you're even able to get that arrow close enough to Thanos. Let's remember that he's an accomplished fighter with super quick reflexes. You would have to be so quick to pierce Thanos with that arrow, even without him and having the Infinity Stones. It's probably best to aim for his eye, though.
Yeah, the eyeball is the perfect place to aim for Thanos because it's it's usually the most less thick. It's not as thick as Thanos' thick ass purple skin. So definitely go for the eyes.
Let's not forget to mention Thanos is a thick daddy.
He is the thickest purple alien I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of thick aliens, Jessica.
Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Thanos can get it, you guys. I'm sorry I said it. Thanos and the Juggernaut. Those are my type of men. I like them big and dangerous.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
I like them big and crazy.
Hey, you like a man that has force. I don't blame you. That's a high priority.
They're trying to kill everyone, and that lust can never be satisfied. And with that being said, let's get into our box of scraps.
Box of scraps!
So our box of scraps question is, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam looks like he's really considering running that fishing boat. Now, what would be your backup dream job, Jessica? What would be the dream job of your dreams? Tell me.
I don't know. A farmer? Honestly, I like gardening a lot. And I know that's not the equivalent to, like, owning your entire farm, but I've always wanted to own chickens and goats. So, like, yeah, I think farming would absolutely be my dream job.
Honestly, I mean, that's really good. I really do like that. I mean, Thanos was all about that. That was his backup after everything went down. So he's like, let me get me a farm on a different planet. So,
basically.
That's not bad. I think farming's really chill. I mean, I haven't done farming, but I've seen people play Farmville many years ago. It seems pretty easy. So that's a good hobby.
It's not. But what's your dream job? What's your backup dream job?
I don't know, probably like owning like a comic book shop. I feel like that'd be really cool. Just to like be able to sell comics and then like have like nerds come in. Oh man, it would be so cool to just talk comics all day with a bunch of like comic book nerds.
I love that, and I take mine back because now I want to say owning a barcade, because I actually do want to own a barcade one day. I love barcades.
Oh my God, yes.
I want to do like an 80s.
Let's mesh our ideas together.
We could sell comic books. You could, but you can't spill your drinks on the comic books.
We should make a comic book barcade. Yo, listen, we shouldn't have said this idea in front of thousands of people because now we're going to get Mark Zuckerberg. Oh my God,
we got to copyright it. We got to
No one Zuckerberg us or we will sue you with our lawyers.
Yeah, with our lawyers on Twitter. Oh God. Oh,
our Twitter lawyers
here first.
are
timestamp
the
it.
best lawyers. You better watch out. You better not to do it.
I know so many lawyers on TikTok, and I will reach out to them, and I will sue. This is a great idea. And it could be in Boston. It could be in Boston.
So many people so many lawyers on
LA.
TikTok giving me hacks and stuff. Honestly, that's genuinely a good idea.
Okay.
Yo, you better start it, and I better be there for the
this.
ribbon cutting.
I'm gonna hold on to this, and none of you guys steal our damn idea. And that was today's episode of Big Question. We are wrapping it up here. We had said so many bits, you guys, that you could eat up and you can throw at me online. Thank you, MT, for joining me for this episode. MT, where do they find you at? What's your handles? Where do they look for you?
Well, you can find me on the streets of Boston being very sad and depressed and eating banana peels. But online, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Mastertainment. That's where I am. Twitter's mostly where I just say all of my nonsense. So if you want to talk nerdy with me, come see me there.
And just like following MT in the streets of Boston, you can follow me here in the streets of LA. I'm always at the Grove, and no, I'm not. I lied. Do not go to the Grove looking for me. I'm never there. But you can follow me at Lulu_Clemons on Twitter, Lulu Clemons everywhere else. Follow New Rockstars. Send us your big question using the hashtag Big Question. Subscribe to this podcast feed and give us a nice rating and review. And tell us what it's like to also live like a raccoon. Subscribe to New Rockstars here and on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you call your mom because MT's coming to swipe her up.
It's true. Hide your moms because I'm coming. I'm a mom
Daddy MT's coming. He's coming for your mama. I can't. Good night. Goodbye. Ugh.